Hello YouTube, today I'll be showing you a Skillcape Perk review. This was introduced to Runescape 3 about a month ago, which was originally from OSRS. Now for anyone who's curious, the 120 capes have the same effect. The max cape and comp cape you can own up to 3 perks. You can replace the cape with any cape you want, but you have to rebuy the cape again, which is kind of like a gold sync basically. The max cape and comp cape perks are synced together, so that means you can't have them separately. Now if you buy multiple max cape or comp capes, you don't get different combinations, so that does not work. Alright, so I'll be reviewing the Skillcape perk from A to Z in alphabetical order, and the quest cape should be last. So I'll start off with Agility. Now basically this cape has a chance of double tickets at the Brimhaven Agility Arena. I'm sure a lot of you guys know about this from the past, right? And it also stacks with Kuramaja gloves as well. However, the problem is, the Brimhaven Agility is like dead content in RS3. I'm not sure how much percent it actually adds, but I think it's pretty bad anyways, so I'm just gonna say this review is actually somewhat bad. So the next skill cape I'll talk about is Attack. Basically there's a 2% chance for an item not to degrade. It doesn't work on augmented items, but it works with degrade to dust items. It's really great for Hydrix jewelry and any non-augmentable gear slots, such as helmets, gloves, or boots. So I would say this is really useful. Alright, so the next skill cape I'll talk about is Constitution, or as many people call it, HP. Basically what this does is it doubles the life point regeneration rate. Now although you cannot regenerate in combat, it actually stacks with Fortitude. What the Fortitude prayer does is it allows you to regenerate in combat, and it also increases your regeneration rate. So now normally the base regeneration rate is 0.1% of your max HP every 6 seconds. Now combine the skill cape with Fortitude, and it'll increase it to 0.1% of your max HP every 1.5 seconds. So it's really amazing for tank rolls and PVM. I mean, it's okay for DPSers, and it's mostly used in high-level bosses such as Telos. And so my overall review is, it's actually pretty good. So the next cape perk I'll review is the Construction Cape. Basically this reduces the cost of creating planks by 10%. It also stacks with portable sawmills for 20% cheaper planks. So how would I review this? Well, I'm gonna say it's pretty okay to good. It's really great for Iron Man who need to sawmill their planks, and maybe for main accounts you can really make money off of this. So yeah, the next skill cape I'll talk about is Cooking. It basically retains the effects of Cooking Gauntlets. Although it's useless because many main accounts have Cooking Gauntlets unlocked, it's actually amazing for skillers. The only situation I can think of for main accounts is Cooking Brawling Gloves. It doesn't actually retain the effects of Cooking Gauntlets, so this really does help. So I'm gonna say it's pretty decent for what it offers. Now the next perk I'll be talking about is the Crafting Cape perk. This perk makes it so that you don't require any thread when crafting, and it basically saves just 1 inventory slot. Now if you were to use a Pack Mammoth, you can craft like 15 Dragon Leather Shields instead of 14, and it really does save some small amount of time to bank. It can be a pain in the ass to bank sometimes, you know, especially on double XP weekend. So I would say this review is okay. I mean, Pack Mammoths are really expensive, but hopefully when they get cheaper, that would be better. And so the next skill cape I'll talk about is Defense. It basically acts as Sign of Life with a shared cooldown. And so what Sign of Life does is when you die, you revive yourself to 25% of your max HP. It's really good for high level bosses such as Telos and Araxor. And so my review on this is, it's pretty great. So the next perk I'll be talking about is Divination. So what this does is, there's a chance of saving Divination secondary materials. So in other words, if I were to transmute iron ore to like coal, I would basically have a chance to save the iron ore, not the energy. It doesn't work with protein memories or divine charges however. I would say it's really amazing if you want to transmute your Nihil pouch ingredients. And it's really great for making portents as well. So I would say the review is, it's pretty decent. Alright, so the next skill cape perk I'll be talking about is the Dungeoneering. It basically teleports you to all resource dungeons in the same effect as Horde Stalker Ring. So I'm gonna say it's really useful for clue scrolls and certain Slayer tasks, so the overall review is, it's pretty awesome. Alright, so the next skill cape perk I'll be talking about is Farming. Basically there's a 5% chance to trigger Patch Bomb, and so what Patch Bomb does is it instantly harvests all the crops in one patch, and then it notes them. It also stacks with Green Fingers and Juju Farming Potion, so you can also get the effects of it as well. So my review is, it's pretty great to be honest. And so the next perk I'll be talking about is Firemaking. Now what this perk does is you can light an Elder Log fire on the spot you're standing on. It has a 1-minute cooldown however. I would say this is absolutely useless, because why bother? Lodestones you can easily bank the fish. The regular and portable ranges also burn fish a lot less often. Now it would have been great back in free-to-play Kuramaja fishing, but really today, there's no real situation for this. The next skill cape I'll be talking about is Fishing. it has a 2% chance to double the catch. And now you may think it's really awesome, right? Well, unfortunately it sucks because it does not award any XP. It would be decent for Iron Man to gather food, but I would say this review is meh, okay-ish. Alright, so the next cape I'll be talking about is Fletching. Basically, there's a chance that you automatically string a bow when cutting unstrung bows from logs. Now, it's good for Iron Man or anyone who can't afford broad arrows. It's pretty decent for stocking up on invention materials. I mean, I still see people cut their logs into unstrung bows, so maybe that might be a good idea. Now, I'm not sure what the chance is, so if you guys know about this, just feel free to comment down below. So my overall take on this is, it's pretty okay. I mean, not a lot of people do bow fletching nowadays. So the next one I'll be talking about is Herblore. Basically, it cleans all your inventory herbs in one click. Now, no XP is awarded, and it does not work with noted herbs. So you just simply right-click your Herblore cape, and it'll clean all your herbs in one tick. It's kind of an okay moneymaker for main accounts, and I think you can clean like 15,000 herbs an hour using this method. However, for Iron Man, it's especially extremely great. So my overall take on this, it's a great perk to have. And so the next skill cape I'll be talking about is the Hunter skill cape. You basically activate this skill cape, and it'll act as a Juju Hunter potion. I forgot what the Juju Hunter potion does, but basically it's probably something to do with Jadenko habitat. I don't really know about Jadenko hunting nowadays, because most people train Hunter in ornate turtles or crystallized Grenwalls. However, I would say it's pretty good for gathering Jadenko ingredients for Juju pots. It might be a pretty decent moneymaker for Juju farming potions. And for Iron Man, yeah, you gotta make it yourself basically. So my overall review on this cape is, it's pretty okay. And so the next perk I'll be talking about is Invention. It basically reduces your charge drain rate by 2%. However, it doesn't work with Degrade to Dust. I would say this is a must-have perk, since almost everyone uses augmented gear. So my review on this is, it's pretty awesome. So the next cape I'll be talking about is the Magic Cape. You basically activate this and it will swap any spellbook from any bank. However, it only works at banks though, so you can't do this in combat. So my review is, it's pretty awesome. So the next skill cape I'll be talking about is Mining. It basically increases your mining levels by 2, invisibly. It makes mining faster at salt crablets or Saren stones. However, someone tested it on Reddit, and it doesn't seem to stack with Ring of Whispers or Lava Titan. So I'm gonna say this review of this perk is okay. Unless they like fix it or something, then I would say it's really good. The next skill cape I'll talk about is Prayer. Basically, when you enter a house, right, and you want to offer your bones to a gilded altar, it retains the effects of the gilded altar with the lit burners. Now this is pretty good for saving time and inventory space for lighting burners, and for Iron Man, you probably won't always have Marintills, so maybe that helps a little bit. Now the huge problem is, it does not retain First Age Cape effect, so this is a 2% Prayer XP loss. Now my review on this is, it's pretty bad actually, because for main accounts you can just buy your Marintills off the GE. Now I believe JMods will actually change it so that it actually retains the effects of First Age Cape, and so I'll give this a great review once they change that. But otherwise this is a bad review, I'm gonna say. And so the next cape I'll be talking about is the Range Cape. It basically acts as Ava's accumulator, which basically picks up any arrows you fire. Honestly, why bother with this cape? In EOC people rarely consume ammo anyways, and even if you do consume ammo, it's not that much ammo you consume. Now for one thing, the Ava's accumulator already has better stats, and the comp cape already retains the effects of Ava. I mean, maybe you can fuse this to max cape if you're really lazy to pick up your own arrows, but otherwise don't bother with this cape, because I would say this review is pretty bad. So the next cape I'll be talking about is Runecrafting. It basically reveals the green rune for the Viswax machine of the 3rd slot, so it really saves a lot of tries when using Viswax. So in other words, you get better profit from the green rune, especially in the last slot because it offers more Viswax. My overall review would be, it's pretty great, honestly. And so the next cape I'll talk about is Slayer Cape. Basically, it teleports you to any Slayer Master from a menu option. Now for those who use Kurodel or Morvran for Slayer, it actually replaces your Kurodel rings basically. Now because this is a direct teleport to the Slayer Masters, you can stock up on enchanted gems a lot faster. And for those who don't buy daily broad arrows, you can buy them a lot quicker now because it's an instant teleport. Now honestly, regardless of how rich you are, I would really suggest you buy daily broad arrows, because it's a really good profit, you know? So my overall review on this is it's pretty awesome. So the next cape I'll talk about is Smithing. It basically acts as Goldsmith Gauntlets, and so what Goldsmith Gauntlets does is it increases the XP from smithing gold. Now there's only one situation I can think of where this is useful over Goldsmith Gauntlets, and that is superheat form at concentrated gold rocks at the Living Rock Caverns. I made a video recently on this, and it's around 100k XP per hour smithing. It's a really great option for Iron Man, because there are limited options to train smithing. So the reason being is, when you're mining, you want to wear the golem mining suit, which gives you additional 7% mining success. So basically, the faster you mine ores, the more ores you can smith every hour with superheat form. So I would say overall this cape is pretty great. So yeah, the next cape I'll talk about is Strength. It makes the ability called Dismember last 2 seconds longer, and it's really the only perk that actually increases DPS. So I'm going to say this review is pretty awesome for what it offers. And so the next Skillcape perk I'll be talking about is Summoning. There's a 5% chance to save charms when you infuse pouches, and it also stacks with the outfit and the spirit gems. Now my overall review on this is pretty great if you're going for 120 summoning or 200 mil. And so the next cape I'll talk about is Thieving. Now normally when you're thieving and you get caught pickpocketing, right? Normally you get stunned for 4.2 seconds, but with this cape, it reduces the time to 3 seconds. Now there's one unique situation where it's really useful, and that is Dwarf Traders. Even with all the thieving boosts, you get stunned pretty often at Dwarf Traders, and so this really does help. Now you can combine this with Completionist Cape for 5% more thieving success because of the Arty Cloak 4. I know a lot of you high level players would train at Elves instead, so this cape might not be useful. And you should really try this at Dwarves instead, because it's really faster XP. And so the next perk I'll be talking about is Woodcutting. There's an increased chance of bird nests and crystal geodes. Now bird nests don't have really good rewards, and they're rare anyways, so my review on this is, it's pretty bad. And I mean, a lot of people train woodcutting for AFK anyways, unless you're crystallizing, but in which case, you wouldn't get a bird nest drop anyways. So finally, the last cape I'll talk about is Quest Cape. So basically, it makes the Tears of Guthix last longer by 30 seconds. And so what this really does is it just helps you gather more tears every week. So for those who don't know what Tears of Guthix is, it's basically a weekly distraction and diversion. It will reward XP on your lowest level skill, so it really does help with the slower skills, or skills you're having trouble training. So my overall review on this, it's pretty awesome to be honest. So now let's get into the last section. What are the best perks to put on Max Cape or Comp Cape? Well, to be honest, the only capes I would suggest putting are combat related capes. This is because you want to save inventory space in combat. On the other hand, skilling you don't really need to save any inventory space. Now I know a lot of you put teleport capes on your Max Cape or Comp Cape, but please don't do that, because it makes the interface really clunky for yourself. And so here are the following capes I would put on my Max Cape or Comp Cape for skilling. The first one I would say is Thieving, because you want to get stunned less often and retain the 5% more success. Now hopefully in the future when JMods make Prayer Cape retain the effects of First Age Cape, I would say put Prayer Cape on that. So yeah, the best perks I would suggest are Attack, Invention, and Strength. You can maybe switch Strength with HP or Defense for extra support, but other than that, there aren't really other cape combos you want to put there. So last but not least, here are the following capes you want to keep in your bank, because almost everyone uses these capes. And so these are basically utility capes I would suggest. So the first one I would say is Magic, because I'm sure a lot of you are going to swap spellbooks pretty often. Then the next one is Runecrafting, for your daily Viswax. And then Slayer and Dungeoneering, because those teleports are pretty useful. You can also take advantage of Quest Cape for the extra duration at Tears of Guthix. And then finally I would keep farming for the farm runs. So for a year we've been asking this from JMods, and I'm glad they actually put together a nice update. So yeah, thanks for watching and I hope it helps. If I missed anything, feel free to ask.